Hello, everyone, and welcome back to part 2 of Create Expectations. If you have not watched part 1, you can go to Zara's channel, get all the carpal tunnel out of your syndrome.
Out of your, can you get carpal tunnel out of a syndrome? Is that a
You
thing?
could probably get, isn't carpal tunnel like a syndrome of sorts?
Um, it's syndrome adjacent.
Anyway, do all the liking and commenting and subscribing, and then come back over here for
Get on
more,
back over here.
for more chit chat and viewer questions, and to find out whether or not TIE Interceptor is an unaligned force user.
An unlawful force user.
An UFU. UFU?
Okay, so let me
Yeah.
ask you, Sarah. We did the research.
Mm-hmm.
It was strenuous.
Yeah. There's a lot of button pushing.
More unforced carpal tunnel.
Yep.
And
Not the Gungan.
yeah, he doesn't have a ship yet. But yeah, so we have the carpal tunnel over with, and our findings
Hmm.
were so the question on my channel, we noticed Scythe has the UFU tag.
Yeah.
Does TIE Interceptor have it, Sarah?
No. Just Empire and Inquisitorius, which is very strange to me.
So then you looked up the cruise ship, the Silencer, is that what it is?
Yeah, the Silencer doesn't have it either.
And then I looked, and you can't actually search for it by tag. Like the UFU tag doesn't exist as far as the search goes on ships.
This is just very strange.
Like the Millennium Falcon, the Resistance version would have to be an UFU ship potentially.
But isn't Finn a pilot on that? So
Yeah, but
would that
so
mess
is
it
Ray.
up? Yeah, but like would it mess it up because Finn's not an UFU?
Maybe it would just be an oof. It's just half of the half of it.
Bad. Um, yeah, it just seems weird.
Oh, like Red 5 might be an UFU. Yeah, it is weird. Like I don't know that. But I'm not a ships expert, so I'm speaking from. I mean, I know the ships kits are okay.
Hmm.
I can't think of a reference to unaligned force user ships get this interaction, and that's like
No, me neither.
maybe there is, but if it is, it's minor. And I don't know, maybe that's something that they'll change eventually, but I just thought it was an interesting thing to look into. Like
Yeah.
uh Kylo's OG Kylo's shuttle would be another UFU potentially. That one would just be an U. It's just three pilots.
Ah, man. Um,
I'm being funny, damn it. Stop.
are you funny if you're saying you're being funny?
Maybe it was funny that maybe it's hilarious and endearing of me to say that I'm being funny. That's not true. But let's do continue. And really it's ships, so who cares?
Not me.
It's right next to territory wars.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Just keep collecting the blueprints and don't hit upgrade.
Yeah, you need the you need the your stack of ship upgrade materials for sitting there.
I do. Okay, so let's do a few viewer questions and then we can talk about um some more stuff that's going on in the game. What do you
Yeah.
think? Okay. So this is pretty timely. Adise is asking, how important is it to get the Gungans to gear 11 before they are finished, like being farmed? I was thinking to do that to help with galactic challenges and conquest feats, but if all the feats require a full team of Gungans, then gearing them won't help until I can unlock Jar Jar. My goal is to have the team farmed by late August or early September.
Hmm.
Well, now that we know that Jar Jar is probably going to come back in the first week of August, I would try to bump your goal up a little bit.
Absolutely.
Um, which means I personally just take stuff to gear 11 now when I unlock like a marquee or whatever. I just go straight to gear 11.
You just have enough Chirotech sitting there to do it.
I do.
That's cool.
So, which I realize not everyone does. So, before I had enough Cairo sitting there, I tried to go to like gear 8-ish and then I would slowly like work on them. Um, I feel like if you're gonna try to get the team ready to go, and you're probably gonna want to get them ready to go before the second Jar Jar event, you might as well just give them the gear.
Yeah, so if you're good at just sitting on gear and not placing it, which I am not, I want to spend it. Like I would quit this game if they made me hoard. If it was a requirement somehow,
Hmm.
I would have quit this game a long time ago. I'm just not built. Like I can be really very patient in other things. Even within this game, I can be very patient. But like I just want to advance my roster, and so I just spend my stuff. Like you've seen
Right.
that over and over again with Professor X.
Drives me nuts.
I just habitually, just compulsively, I do it to drive you nuts because I know how much you enjoy. I know how much you enjoy causing me pain. So, I like the okay. Um,
Ah,
but no, I'm just compulsive about. I'm just like it's just one alt. Like it's meant to let me just off the hook for being responsible.
I just, I just need to point out, you know this, and I don't know if like people watching know this, but I would get like I'd be farming for like tickets for a GL. And while I was doing that, I would make like a gear list of what we needed to take the GL up right away. And then it would change because somebody would log in and spend the gear.
I don't do that for Galactic Legends. You're just making that up. So
No,
that's fake. It's
no,
false narrative. It
no.
never happened. It's fine, and I don't have
Lies.
to be responsible anyways. So that's lies as well.
I think the other thing though with this is we don't know what the feats are gonna be with Gungans, whether it is gonna require a full team or not.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. Like CG probably wants to reward the people who get the full Gungan team.
Yeah, I can
And
see that.
like getting feats in like it would not surprise me if the next like the next few galactic challenges were gun guns or something related.
Hmm.
Um, though I think they could piss a lot of people off if they. I bet that they'll just be like, you have to have three gun guns, and then it's just really hard because those three suck because you need a full squad of them. You know.
Hmm.
Though I guess you could maybe beat a mission with just four. You know, like they're gonna be pretty good with four. Honestly, it seems like.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's just waiting to see, but I would just gear them. Especially if you're going to be working on the team anyway and all that's like if you're farming their shards and everything like that, then why not?
Yeah, it's a tricky thing. So I tend to agree with that. I just you're not gonna use them much until they're relict. Like that's when they get good.
Right. But if they have the same problem as you and that they don't want to
Hmm.
hoard, just put the gear on.
No, well, and you know that on Professor X, that's exactly. I'm like I can't trust myself to
Right.
save this gear, so they're all gear 11 now.
Right.
Yeah, but it's this weird thing. It's like they're very urgent for 3 months from now.
Yeah.
Like you need to have them ready for 3 months from now, and that's going to be the really tough thing is saving enough materials to get
Hmm.
them all. Not like because they'll be gear 11. You have to save enough mats to get them all upgraded to relic 5.
Hmm.
And then really you're going to want to also pretty soon if you've been working on them, you're going to also want to put Jar Jar up to relic 5 at least. But then you also the raid is starting and you happen to have the squad that's the best in
So
the
just keep going.
so go like probably I will probably have enough materials saved and I like on my main and even on Professor X I'll save enough to make sure they can all go to relic 8 and then
Nice.
we can just raid things with them. Well, I think they're going to be so obnoxious anyways at that
Yeah.
level.
Yeah. Um, yeah, you're just gonna keep giving them relics.
They'll go from just useless Gear 11 chaff to
Relegate.
yeah. Well, yeah, and once they are farmable, you can slowly just start taking them up to relics as well.
Yeah.
But they'll still be worthless. Yeah, I would say that yeah, try to adjust your farm to get them done before August starts.
Mhm.
It'll be good.
Okay. Um, Jabroni Juan was asking. The first part of this is for you. How much do you feel streaming your GACs affects your performance? On one hand, you'll get a useful tip from chat once in a while, but the most part, I imagine, is that it would be a huge disadvantage, or maybe you do better playing with an audience. And then for me, similarly, how do you feel making content affects your game with Conquest, for example?
Do you want to answer first?
Um, sure. I think for me, it makes me hyper focus on aspects of a game. So I hyper focus on conquest, or I hyper focus on like the cam mission or the Reva mission or whatever. Um, which means other things like GAC fall by the wayside. But I think the biggest thing is like just trying to see things in a not necessarily like a weird way, but like how can you get it done without being like, oh, just use your Lord Vader. Like that's been the biggest thing for me is how can you do it without a um character that not necessarily everybody has.
Right. No, and you do a great job of that. Honestly, like if anyone ever says, people are like, you should play Sarah's account. She doesn't like GAC anyways, but sometimes it might be tinged with little like, she doesn't like GAC, kind of, because a lot of GAC purists will have that attitude, and I'm
Hmm.
always defend. I'm like, no, here's the thing, like she doesn't like GAC, and that's fine. No one has to like it, but if she really liked it, she would be really good at it because the things that you have done in the game that you've been really into and really focused on, it's not just that you're good for your account. It's like you are able to help a lot of other people with their accounts, and you're
Oh,
able
thanks.
to get there. I mean, that's like the first time I met you was, I remember just your discussion with someone else. I was listening to your podcast before
Hmm.
I went on with you guys, and you were talking about your approach to territory battles in the cam mission. And,
Hmm.
I was like, I immediately, I was like, I don't know anything about the cam mission. Like, not much. I have enough relics I can just kind of bludgeon my way through most of the time. Like, not a big deal for me, but I could recognize your level of expertise just the way you talked about it, and you had very specific, very targeted things that you were doing, and so you do a great job with conquest, and you know, I wish I could entice you to enjoy GC like that because it would be fun to see you just destroy people.
I think if it wasn't such a like time involvement in the game in terms of like territory battles, GAC, conquest, like all of that stuff, I would probably would like it more.
It's fair. You don't have to
You know
like
what I
it.
mean?
There's legitimately no judgment on my end for it. I just
I know.
people just don't understand like the degree of how skilled you are at other elements of the game. It's just kind of a funny incongruity with where you're at in GAC because you just don't care.
Right. I'm just in free fall land.
I know you're the same skill points as my 7 million GP alt. Like
Right.
that's fine.
Because I
Um,
do one attack and sometimes I win.
yeah, I'm hoping I can pull that off a couple times
Uh,
this coming GAC. But no, that's it's I really yeah, you do a good job with conquest, and you do make it approachable for other people. I mean, sometimes it's like, look, if you don't have this character, you just have to beat that node and skip the feat or whatever. But
yeah. Yeah.
that happens.
Um, thanks. I know I have talked to you about this with streaming JC, but I'm curious if your opinion on this has changed, if you think it affects how you play GAC.
It totally does. I love playing in front of a crowd. Honestly, it's kind of nerve wracking at first, but no, I really love it because I feel like we're all in an adventure together. You know,
Mhm.
like I feel it's so dumb. Like we do the over under at the start of my matches now.
Yeah.
And some people bet whether I can reach some arbitrary banners goal, and like so many people vote for the over, which is like so punishing to people. Really, like I feel bad I'm like, man, you voted for me. Okay, you had confidence in me, but it's like we're all in it. Like the number of people who
Hmm.
vote for me really tells me like you're watching because we're all in it together. Like you're rooting for me for the most part, or at least I feel like it. And so I love the collaboration and being able to work with each other. And I feel like I'm like a really dumb version of House, is what I feel like.
What?
Well, like you've seen House, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, like it's the brilliant doctor who,
Hmm.
and so hence the dumb part, the dumber version. But uh, the thing I love about House is he has his people doing like just all these ridiculous things. Everyone's trying to solve it. Everyone and no one ever solves it but him. But
Hmm.
it's because everyone's just throwing all these wild ideas out, and eventually it's not that one of those ideas is the answer. It's just that one of those ideas triggers something in his mind and he's able to click it into place
Right. Hmm.
because he's able to take all these different ideas and kind of just mold it into something. And like I said, I'm not as and I wouldn't ever deign to think I was that level of brilliant, but it does kind of work that way for my brain. If like you give me enough ideas,
Hmm.
eventually like someone will be like, hey, you should use General Skywalker, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we could use Dooku here. Like like somehow it just spins out like that. And so yeah, I love that collaborative process. And when I play it on my own, I do like it, but I have way less creativity a lot of times. Like I need other people's input, even if I don't use your idea
Hmm.
exactly. I love having input and being able to be like the collaborative process is just it's magic, honestly.
I will say you always have like really interesting um ideas, especially on like Professor X and Prevail Man, because you don't have all the tools on those accounts. So you're always like getting into the weeds with like really ridiculous ideas that I would never think of.
Yeah.
And I remember there was a while there where I actually like was trying in GAC. And I remember sending you like a team that I used to try to bludgeon my, because I just needed to clear to bludgeon my way through. And I think it
Hmm.
was like Kira or something. It was something weird. And I do, man, I do remember you being like, "Oh, I can see what you were thinking there, like to how it would have worked." Um, and that's like from watching you put those things together.
I appreciate that. No, it's fun. Like I don't style myself as like a theory crafter really. Like I'll come up with some good ideas here and there, and I'll find like the common sense counter. I'm like, oh well, okay, I can see how stalling out your turn meter on this team
Hmm.
would be hinder you. So what's like the most obvious way to be able to make that work? Like I could come up with the common sense ones. You're not gonna find me like people putting. This is so bonkers. I don't know. Have you seen the team right now where people put Riva lead and Grand Inquisitor with Ray?
Yeah, I have seen that.
And it's just because there's a datacron
Hmm.
that boosts Ray's offense when debuffs are dispelled,
Yeah,
and so it just hyper ramps her offense, and it's that's just
gross.
not it's just not a thing I would think of myself.
Right,
I'm
right.
not that kind of thinker. Like but if I have enough people with me, like working on things, like we'll come up with a solution to something. Like I'll be able
Hmm.
to find a solution to that with random stuff. I just you know yeah, it's fun, man. I love streaming, and I think that like I know we're going long on this question. I think the one thing I'll say is I've said it for a long time. The number one skill a person can have in this world right now, and not just in the game, but everywhere in the world, like in life, is discernment. there's too much information right now to be able to know everything. Like
Mm-hmm.
you can't be an expert in everything. And so knowing how to discern like what is how can you tell what truth is? Like if everyone can say like, "Hey, I'm an expert. I'm good at this." Like who's full of crap and who actually knows legitimately what they're doing, and how can you surround yourself with people like that, and how do you trust people who have the real information? And GAC is just the same, like reading chat. That's why you watch some of the streamers who just implicitly trust chat, and they're like,
Right.
"Oh, that didn't work." And sometimes it blows up in my face too, but if you can parse that information and take the good stuff and leave the rest of it, like it's it's discernment, man. It's important skill to have, and it's a fun opportunity to practice that, I guess.
Well, and I also feel like just blindly trusting chat would just be like that would be a detriment because there's going to be people in there that are going to put ridiculous suggestions just because they want to see either for themselves what would happen or they just want to troll you and see you fail.
I've had that before. I'm like, dude, I've seen your comments on other streams about me. Like, I know you're not trying to help me here.
Oh
Ridiculous people,
man.
man.
Okay, one more question and then we can talk about a little bit of the other news.
Sure.
Um, Vertigo asked or said they got Leia when the Rey and Kylo packs, like the Galactic Legend, whatever pack things came out. And they
Oh,
haven't
like
applied,
the light speed things.
yeah, the
Bundles.
Lightspeed bundles. They haven't applied the ultimate to Leia because she requires 12 mats and Rey and Kylo obviously only require 10. And then that way Vertigo can do Rey and Kylo's ultimate and still have light side and dark side tickets available to farm so that they could take advantage of a chase with like where the drops are bugged because you're farming GL tickets. Do you think this is worth it? Slash, how important is Leia's ultimate?
Um, I'll let you answer first the last couple times. I'll take a plunge here, especially because I don't have like a really solid answer on this. I mean I think that there's been like two instances ever of being
Mhm.
able to take advantage of that bug, and
Yeah.
it's been unpredictable to the extreme. I don't think you should withhold an ultimate from
Hmm.
any of the GLs
Hmm.
in hopes that they actually, because the last few chases have been in places you can't even. It has to be specifically light or dark node.
Right. And the last few haven't been.
Yeah. So you might just wait for a year. We might not have any ships released. Like we've had entire years where they don't release ships, or at least
Hmm.
they like, release one. And so whereas it may really pay off, and maybe like gaming it, just planning it, keeping your options open for as long as it takes to get there
Hmm.
is one thing. But just like stubbornly sitting there hoping that it'll work
Yeah.
for you is, in my opinion, just not going to pan out. I would just take advantage if an opportunity comes up, but otherwise, like, get those ultimates on your characters. Leia can wait. She needs her ultimate less than Kylo or Rey for sure,
Hmm.
but it's still really good, and you should get it. Is my
Um,
opinion.
yeah, I don't believe in like purposely handicapping your roster, which essentially is like what you're doing here. Um, and yeah, like you said, like it has to be light side or dark side, so you can only take advantage when it's that. I know CG put out a post saying that they were like aware about this or looking into it or whatever the case may be. And honestly, I don't anticipate them to fix it. I anticipate them to just not put chases on those notes.
I mean,
And that
that's essentially a fix.
right. But my point is I don't anticipate them going in and like tweaking the code. I anticipate them just being like, well, we'll just put it on Cantina or ships and call it good. And it won't matter.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. So I will just go a little bit further and say
Hmm.
that so people who are like, oh, I'm just gonna wait until the like this, like say the Eternal is presumably next, right? The like in theory, he would
Right.
be the next Lightspeed bundle that they would release. And I don't, we have no guarantee that they ever will.
Mm-hmm.
But in my opinion, that's a thing that might be worth, like, okay, maybe if all things are equal, maybe you don't choose Sith Eternal as your next Galactic Legend. Maybe you choose a different one that's a little close, like go work on Jabba, go work on,
Right.
you know,
One that's
on,
less likely to get a pack.
yeah, and then you like you're increasing your odds of just being able to spend $10 on this character instead of like 3 or 4 of your months of
Mm-hmm.
farming, and and maybe it works out, maybe not, but one way or another, you can kind of increase your odds that way. I think that's just good planning,
Mm-hmm.
frankly. But yeah, like you say, deliberately handicapping your roster just in, for any reason, but for especially like for a speculative thing that CG is even aware of, like I think there's a decent chance that they just never have that happen
Yeah.
again.
Um, I will say, just to like add on to what you were saying, I like that idea about going and like maybe working on like Java or something in the meantime. Um, because then worst case scenario, okay, they didn't put out the Lightspeed bundle for C and you've now gotten Java, which is a great GL to have anyway, and he's newer and whatnot. Best case scenario, you spent those 3 or 4 months farming the things for Java that you needed, and now you've got Java, and then you spent $10 and also got C.
All right.
So, yeah. Okay, cool. So
Cool, cool, cool.
those are the viewer questions. There's more that we can go over next week, but I want to talk a little bit more about the other bits of news because why
Yeah.
not? The one thing that we didn't mention is the data mine showed with the title update coming out that the ability to connect your account to Facebook is going away. So, if you are connected that way, you are going to want to figure out how to connect your account to Google or Apple or something else. Assuming, so let me backtrack this a little bit. If you're connected to Facebook and you only have one account, it won't matter because as long as you're logged in already, you'll be good.
Yep.
If you switch accounts that way, so if you have like an alt or whatever the case may be, then you won't be able to do that.
Yeah, this is such an interesting thing to me because man, there's so much. So not that I've ever violated the terms of service in this game at any point for any reason, but if I had ever done that,
Ditto.
yeah, if I had ever done that ever, to like say remod people's accounts because I was a starting content creator and needed money to start things up.
Hmm.
If I had ever, in theory, ever done that, the Facebook login way was like the easiest, would be the
Hmm.
easiest way to do it.
Would
So
be. Hmm.
yeah, not was, certainly not was, but would be. And this is actually going to potentially be a really big problem for the Gauntlet, where
Hmm.
there are a lot of accounts where people quit, but they just donate their account to the guild. They're like, man, I love you guys, and my account is awesome still. Like, I have a ton of good
Right.
mods, I have all the stuff updated. Like, you guys can use this as long as you want,
Hmm.
so here, we'll just let you guys log in through Facebook, and that's just going away. Like that's just like a lot of these accounts, and those guys are just unreachable.
Yeah. Like
You
if
know,
you can't get a hold of them, then that's it.
so there's a lot of accounts that I'm just curious. Like I know that people sell their accounts, and I know that's against the terms of service. So CG in theory doesn't care, but I would imagine that there's a certain amount of like, well, you're screwed now.
Yeah. Like
Like
so many people make like dummy accounts.
yeah, and maybe there's an easy fix. I don't know. I've been given a lot of thought to it. My
Hmm.
accounts are all linked to different Google email,
Yeah.
so I'm actually I'm my accounts are safe. Though I do think that I have right now. No, not that I ever would, but in theory, if I ever did have access to someone's account,
Hmm.
uh, to while they went on vacation or something, I would think that I don't have access to that anymore. Would not have access. to that. So,
Mm.
because that's the way we did it. There would have done it then. So, it's an interesting thing, and this is no warning. That I think that's the
Yeah.
craziest thing to me is this is going to be hugely disruptive to certain parts of the community and like nothing, no warning. It's just going away.
Hmm.
Facebook gone, ton of different accounts gone. Some people buy an account for $2,000 or something, and I know that's against the terms of service, but those just potentially disappear. It's crazy.
Yeah. I think that the thing to me is like just no warning. It's just bye.
Right. Well, it's not like, hey, you have 60 days to resolve your stuff. You know,
Right.
it's like, hey, we're forcing an update tomorrow. Like, deal with it.
Figure it out in 24 hours.
Yeah, you have 1 day. Go.
Yikes.
It
Yeah.
it it is bonkers, honestly.
Yeah. So that's that.
Well,
Um
my phone just updated. I didn't manually update it. Like it just updated just now.
you
So
got
and it's gone.
oh, is it? You got the Play Store update.
Yeah. Well, let me see.
Let me see if I did.
I think my Facebook connectivity. Yeah, it's not there anymore.
I can update mine if I wanted to. It didn't automatically do it, but it is in the store.
Actually, I don't know if I don't have the ability to switch accounts. This is weird. Hope
I
I'm not
had
just
that
screwed.
happen the other day. When I was trying to log back into my account after not being logged into somebody else's. Um,
Obviously, you weren't. Yeah,
yeah, and I just force closed the app and it came back.
good. I just force closed it. So let me see.
Um, Hopefully that
Oh,
is a thing.
yeah, that's the button is gone. So there is a button that says connect.
Yeah, and it's gone.
Okay, I can sign out of Google Play.
This is gonna be very interesting if it's like gone,
So let's see.
gone.
Okay, so I'm signing out. Let's see if it gives me the option to sign into something else now. Because my phone has 3 accounts. Well, at least 3 accounts. Oh yeah, I still have access to all accounts that I needed. Okay, cool. It's just a
So we're
different.
fine.
It's a new way though of doing it for sure. The buttons are different. So
I don't like that.
me neither. I'm a creature of habit.
Yeah, no warning. Okay, so that is happening. The other thing that we didn't really touch on, we talked about territory battle being canceled very briefly. Uh, we didn't really talk about why, other than that it was broken. Um, so, and I mean, unless you ignored territory battles last week, as you know, you tried to go into it. Most people tried to go into it, and they just got like the spinning wheel of death, and you couldn't get into territory battles at all. Um, they tried to force an update, which ended up putting everyone into light side Geo, which
Yeah.
was interesting. And it didn't matter what you picked. If you were doing Empire, Geo, or Hoth, you were now doing light side Geo.
Yeah.
So that happened. And then they just said screw it and canned it. But it looks like the issue was that it was trying to find like the Mandalore planet and it couldn't. Like there was coding in there in the background and it was just tripping up the game. So Mandalore's probably coming in the next few weeks.
I mean, yeah, they're uploading assets to
Yeah,
it. I mean, they're toward the end of all the information they shared in the last road ahead.
they are. So like we should also be getting a nice post in the next couple of weeks, I would think, from CG.
Last year, yeah, year we got a road ahead post on or in February, and then another one in April. The April
Yes.
one was completely unexpected,
Mm-hmm.
and
And
that was
that's
the
the
one.
you're gonna
Oh,
say
go
what I'm
ahead.
gonna say.
Well, it's the one that announced Leviathan and
Yeah.
not that you know what that is, and other things.
It's a ride
You
at
know.
Wonderland.
Oh, that's not a thing. So it's it's a yeah. Not that they've told us we're gonna have a road ahead. but it seems like we're about to the point where we're gonna need one pretty soon.
I think so. I mean, yeah, like you said, we're nearing the end of everything they told us.
Well, we're 5 weeks away from unlocking Queen Amidala, and then we're gonna need to know what the next conquest character is too.
Yep, that's a good point. So we'll get that. If I mean Jar Jar's happening, so that's already done from that road ahead. We know the other marquee units. We know about the new raid, so I guess they just have to give us more info on the raid, and then Mandalore has to drop, and yeah, whatever they want to give us for the back half of the year. Um, but the data that like Sig Sig was able to pull for the TB glitch did show that it looked like Mandalore is going to be uh pretty much where we thought it was going to be based off of the like concept art. So it's going to be like it's going to be adjacent to what's its face? Kessel?
The
Is that the planet that's there?
the word
Yeah,
of the day is
it's
adjacent.
adjacent. It's Kessel adjacent.
Yeah, but yeah, it'll be like a lateral unlock, so
Mhm.
I mean, I figured we'd need Relic 8 to unlock it because we needed Relic 7
Yeah.
to unlock Zepho, and Zepho's requires level 7 because it's phase 3. But even in phase 2, it requires Relic 7.
Yeah.
The unlock. So I figured, but yeah, if it does unlock on Kessel, I mean, I guess that's fine.
It seems fine to me.
Um, is your Bo-Katan Relic 8?
Yes, actually, she is. Pretty sure.
How about the other characters? The light side Ufu, or not Ufu, sorry, light side Mandalorian team.
My Bo-Katan is Relic 8.
My main account doesn't have Relic 8 of those, except for like Bam maybe. But yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
curious. Like, if people want to super prepare for it and they already have Bo-Katan, I would recommend. We're gonna need a Relic 8, no matter what, if she's required, because either she unlocks with Relic 8, and she's the
Mhm.
one who's the unlock character to get there, or you get to the planet and it'll require Relic 8 there for her
Yeah.
use.
Yeah. So either way, I think right now I'm just waiting to see like more info on in terms of like what's actually the team to unlock it. Is it Bo or is it gonna be like a Dark Trooper Gideon
Right.
squad? Um, and then that way I can kind of figure out where I need to dump some resources that I've been hoarding.
Well, a Dark Trooper Moff Gideon team right now, guys, there are 3 characters from that squad that are pretty baller in the current raid, which I
Hmm.
would tend to say, like, okay, like, if you need to farm Leia for your own reasons, like, great, it coincides with, 3 more months of this raid that we currently have. I wouldn't say, hey, start working on, start working on the, like, Ewoks right now.
Right.
Don't put Relegate on Sherpa, probably. I mean, do what you want, ultimately, but my advice would typically be like, do things that overlap into things that are going to continue to be useful.
Hmm.
And OG Moff Gideon, the original one, Death Trooper, Stormtrooper, all amazing in the Dark Trooper Moff Gideon squad. And also, at least Moff Gideon is amazing in the Ewok raid, and the other two are okay to have at Relic 8. Like they do
They
okay.
they hit hard, assuming you're doing the evasion nonsense.
Yeah, I mean, it's usually safe to say I'm going to be doing nonsense, but whether or not it's the good nonsense, the evasion nonsense, is another question.
Right. The 1,000% evasion nonsense.
Uh, at least he'll have Death Mark while he has 1,000% evasion.
Oh, Jesus. Uh, okay, I think we hit all the news based like between here and your half.
Okay, tell me about what's your favorite thing going on in the game right now? Like what
Ooh.
the thing that you're looking forward to the most, or the thing that is just so cool right now, like you can't stop playing Malicos for some reason. I know it's not that probably, but something like that.
It's definitely not that. I am doing Sea Bane a lot in Conquest. But that I mean, that's neither here nor there. I think I am like I'm ready for Mandalore. Like I want more info on that.
Mm.
That I think that's where I'm at. I'm like, give me Mandalore. I'm tired of the raid.
Do you think there's a possibility that we'll ever get sim buttons on territory battle nodes?
Ooh, no.
Because all they're doing with territory battle, and this is Pico's probably favorite part where I get to bellyache about territory battle, but no, I actually enjoy it. Genuinely do enjoy like the strategy of it. It can get a little repetitive, but I don't mind it. The time sink,
Yeah.
I would spend my time on other things in the game if I could, but ultimately the time sink is it's whatever. I'm just more interested in if they continue to add more nodes,
Yeah.
it's going to take even more time, just an increasingly large amount of time. And it's just going to get to the point where it's like, please don't make us unlock another planet. Like, I'm not excited by
Yeah.
the extra time sink. So, but if they were like, hey, yeah, if you get, phase two, if you just knock it out, you just get 7 or you get 3 stars, whatever. You get the 2 waves on all of them enough times,
Mm-hmm.
like do it like Galactic War, where once you get 150 times done, you can just sim it or something.
Right. Just have your guild like you'd have to actually go in, hit sim, pull the squad out of the roster,
Yeah,
like if it was a special mission or whatever.
and that's a good point. It's like that would be a little bit like, oh, well now I just have this squad that I you know
Yeah.
got 2 out of 2 with. Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know how they would manage that actually, but I hope they do something like that because it just it's a time sink, and I want to be excited for Mandalore, and I don't want to be grimacing by like, oh, cool. Well, Zepho took me an extra 10 minutes every territory battle. Mandalore another 10 minutes every 2 weeks.
Yep. Yep.
So,
Yeah, that is a concern. So we'll see. What are you enjoying?
oh, thanks for asking. Nothing.
Not the company.
No. No. Gosh, no. Obviously not. No. No. Oh, the company's delightful as always. I really like. I don't know. Specifically right now, I guess. I, it's funny because I just went on a rant about I don't want to unlock like more
Yeah.
stuff in territory battles, but I mean, like I said, I like territory battles, and I think it's I just love unlocking new things. I just that's the
Yeah.
most fun for me, and like a whole new planet that we get to like
Right.
explore and look at. Like to me, that's so compelling. Like there's just something. It transcends my like my clench. I don't want to spend more time on these missions.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I am excited for that. And there's just a lot of cool characters that are like about to be released into the game, and that
Yeah.
also transcends my cringe of like we have so many teams now. GAC is so flooded with teams.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tough thing, unless they do something about that. So,
Please don't
please don't what
do something about that.
like fix GAC.
I don't want more teams on the board.
I didn't say we should add more teams.
I'm just throwing it out there. I don't want it. It's just gonna add more time to the game mode that I don't play.
Right. I mean, like, please don't let us unlock Mandalore. Right. Like that they're literally expanding the board in
Yeah.
territory battles, and you're like, please don't expand the board in a different game mode.
Yeah. Right. Don't want
Yeah.
them to do it.
No, I mean, no, it's all valid. This game takes a lot of time, and if it's like if they did expand the board, they would need to give us sim buttons of some sort somewhere.
Yeah, yeah, you would have to. Absolutely. So
But, anyways, good talk.
I think that's it.
Probably. That's certainly the end of our conversation.
It feels weird. You didn't even look at my roster and make fun of me today.
I referred to how much extra ship credits you have. So
Okay, yeah. Status quo.
yeah,
Proceed.
we checked that box. Don't you worry.
All right.
Let
Till
me let me ask you
what?
this: do you have a
What?
relic base?
Do I have a relic base?
Yeah,
No.
all three of my accounts have a relic base,
I'm pretty sure I don't.
and you should too. He is amazing.
Do I have a relic base? Let me check. I don't think I do though. Was he in one of those Lightspeed packs?
No,
Then I definitely don't have a relic base.
dude,
Yeah, no, we don't have a relic base over here.
he is so good.
I know, but like I'm hoarding for Gungans.
You don't need them for 3 frickin' months, Sarah.
Stay, just no. Just keep your fingers out of my account.